What's good? We're back in this thing. Today I got the absolute sauce. Today I'm going to be showing you how to do this bush extension, like warp effect. I showed it in a video a while back and I asked if people wanted to see it, and the comments have just been flooded with that. And it's definitely more of a challenging one to explain for me. So I've kind of been pushing it off, but it just got to the point where I feel like you guys really want to see this. It's something that I haven't really seen on YouTube, and I'm just interested to see what you guys come up with using this effect. If you're new here, what I do is a lot of music video tutorials, effects, behind the scenes of music videos, vlogs, just anything really to do with the hip hop / rap music scene on the visually creative side. So if you're interested in any of that, definitely subscribe. If you haven't already, like and comment. Let's get 500 likes, 50 comments. You guys have been really killing it recently. It does really help out the channel, push it to new people. I want to hit the goal of 100,000 subscribers this year. I think like 60-something% of the people that watch these videos are actually not subscribed. So if everyone were to go do that right now, we'd be over 30,000 subscribers. So if you're not subscribed, click the subscribe button, ring the bell. We got a bunch of new content coming up, and we got something super exciting to announce at the end of this month. It's gonna be really big for the channel. I think you guys are really gonna enjoy it, and I think it's gonna bring us to that next level. If you want to support the channel even more, you can go over to briandelmata.com, check out my texture pack. It helps you get that AUG lone wolf kind of style paper rip effects and transitions. Not only will you be supporting the channel, but you'll be getting a really high quality digital asset for yourself to use in your own projects, and everyone that's got it so far has come up with some really cool stuff. So I always appreciate it when you guys share that with me. I'll have the link to that below, as well as a playlist with all the tutorials on the pack, so you can come up with some real cool effects right off the bat and then come up with your own based on those tutorials. Also, one last thing before we start the video. I know we've been talking for a little bit, but my 10K subscriber editing contest, you can win $750 and you get to edit 4K 120 FPS footage of Matt Ox 100 music video. Is still going on. You have until March 3rd to enter. So if you're just seeing this right now, you still have time to get a submission in. I'll have the video pop up on a card right now and have it linked below as well. So far, everyone that showed snippets have been really cool. Keep on sharing those, and I'm excited to see everyone's submissions. But yeah, guys, let's get into the video, break this effect down. All right, boys. So here's the clip that I selected. Handheld shot. You don't have to do anything specific. It doesn't have to be stabilized. It doesn't have to be anything. It is a little bit easier if you have a stabilized shot or a tripod shot, but you can do it with anything. And then we'll kind of go layer by layer. This isn't going to be like a step-by-step breakdown. It's going to be more of a concept. I'll definitely show you the parts that like you wouldn't know how to do. It's a lot of masking and just duplicating. So I just want to make it a little bit more simplistic and easier to follow by kind of just talking through the process rather than actually doing it, because it would just be a lot of like blank spots where I just wouldn't be talking and just be doing stuff. I think this way would probably be able to explain it a little bit better. Then we have this pre-comped layer called tall bush, and what this is it's the bush back here duplicated and brought sideways a little bit. It also has some turbulence displace. We can turn that off for a second, and we'll turn this layer off by itself. And what this is doing is it's just masked and then duplicated a bunch. I'll show you in a second, but basically it's masked and duplicated a bunch, and then it kind of just goes up. And then the last layer is this masked layer. This is so, since this is above the tall bush layer, it won't be showing the tall bush when it's behind this. So basically this is just to make sure that the tall bush layer isn't going over your subject or over the bush. So you can see this, it kind of breaks away right here, but that's fine because the tall bush is already back down at that point. So if I turn on that layer, you can see that the tall bush will go behind it and kind of just grow. And the reason I have this turbulence displace on is just to kind of hide the imperfections in it, because it is a little bit of a tedious process and there's definitely going to be some mistakes when you make. There's ways to hide it, and honestly, it's such a quick effect that people won't catch those mistakes that you make. So now we're going to go ahead and go into the tall bush layer, and you can see that there's two layers inside of this, two comp layers. It's basically, these are exactly the same thing, just moved up a little bit, so it goes up a little bit higher. I'll show you that in a second. So we're going to go even further into the thing, and then there's 3 rows. So what the 3 rows are just these duplicated and brought to the left. These are easy parts. Don't even worry about this right now. We're just going to go into one more layer. I know it's a little bit confusing. We'll go ahead and go one layer in. So what you're basically going to start off with is your full clip, right? And then you're going to go to the pen tool and mask out what you want to duplicate. Going here to the bush, duplicating here. And what I did is I just did something similar to this. Right now, I'm not going to worry about how good it is. Basically like that. And then I go to mask down here, keyframe the path, and then I just opened up the mask layer. And then if you find tracker on the right hand side, you can go frame by frame. Depending on your subject, it's either going to be really easy to track, really hard. Mine was a little bit in between. So what I did is I kind of just waited. I tried to get as close to these edges as possible, and I would just turn on the tracker, and then anytime it would break, if you click the play button, it does it automatically. So you can see we kind of already have that track, and let's continue playing it, see what happens. You can see like I would be tweaking it here so it's like has a little bit more closer to the edge, because the closer to the edge you are, we can go ahead and click none just so we can see the whole thing. You're going to see that the background is going to start coming from behind this red line. So it's going to be weird. It's going to be covering up the shadowed area. So ideally you would want a dot here kind of covering it up. The more precise you are with the original mask, the better overall product you're going to get. And you only have to mask this spot that you're duplicating once. So definitely take your time. That's what I did for the sake of the tutorial. We don't need to do that because I've already done it. But yeah, I would just go through, keyframe all the frames, make sure anything that you want out of it is not in it so we can't get his shirt or his hair. But yeah, I'm gonna turn off that full layer, and what you're gonna see is the first layer is just that bush, right? And all it is it's that bush, but just positioned up. And the reason I'll go over that in a second, why I positioned it up, but if you can see here, go to reset, and you're not going to be able to even tell that it's there. We're going to go ahead and Control Z that. And then what I did is once you get that full mask, this layer is all about just making the object that you're elongating and making come out of behind something longer. So we're going to go ahead and turn off the full layer so you can see. Then each of these layers are just adding on to the bottom of it. So basically I just moved the bush all the way to the top and then just duplicated over and over again. You can see how it gets repetitive, but when you're doing it and have the motion blur and stuff, it really hides it pretty well. All I did is made sure that the first layer that we had was as high as possible, but never went above the composition. So if it were to have gone above the black bar, so you can see that it almost touches right here. We'll deselect the mask so you can see it almost touches, but it doesn't exactly touch. And the reason is if it goes above the composition itself, it will actually show that in the pre-comped layer below. So it will have that harsh edge instead of the corner. And ways you can do this, I didn't do this originally, but I was just rethinking. You can actually go ahead and change the composition settings. You'll see what I did in a second where I had to duplicate the overall composition layer, and there's a way to work around it. So you can just make the height as high as you want. And then once you make that composition layer higher, then you don't have to worry about duplicating the overall comp that I had, but you also don't want it to touch the bottom. Hopefully that makes sense. I know it's a little bit confusing. That's why this is definitely a more advanced of a tutorial, but you can see that now you have this mask with it elongated. That's pretty much it. And we can go ahead, and then what I would do is pre-comp that layer, and then basically all I did was duplicate that layer 2 times over to fill up, if we go here, to fill up all this space over here. It's all depending on the clip you have. So if you had like a full building and it had the edges, then obviously you would just do the edges. But since it's kind of like weird, if I were to just have it go up, there'd be like this weird gap right here of just blue sky. So what I did is I figured if I just made it seem like this bush was longer out this way, which it probably is in real life, but we don't have that footage obviously, that way it just fills up this blue sky behind it. Going back into the 3 layers, all I did was just say you had this layer right here, row 1. What I had and did is click Control D and then just change the transform option on it, or the position, to the left a little bit. And then that's what row 2 is, and I just put it behind it. And then row 3 is the exact same thing. And you don't have to keyframe anything because the mask is basically tracked at this point. So you're not gonna have to keyframe anything. It's just duplicating it over so it fills up the sky area. And then I would go ahead and pre-comp all these. So just highlight them all and then click pre-comp. And then that's what this layer is going to be right here. And this one is the one where we keyframe. I had it to the beat of the song, but we don't have any audio right now, but I just had it pop up, stop for a second, pop up again, and then pop down. So you can keyframe it however you want, but basically just have it go so it fills up the whole sky. You can see here, that corner right there is the last corner to go over, and I just had to go all the way up, seemed like it was like towering over everything, and then come back down. And the reason I had this duplicate layer is the thing I was talking about with the composition. So I wasn't able to get high enough to actually fill up the sky. So all I did was just duplicate this overall 3 blocks, this comp, and then just had it elongate over here so it filled up this corner. But if you make the composition setting high enough, you won't have to worry about that. Basically all I did was just keyframe it to go higher. And now we're in the main comp. I would just pre-comp those layers again, or if you did the composition thing, there won't be another pre-comp for you to do. So it all depends on what you have. And then to make it just blend a little bit more and seem bouncy, I just turned on turbulence displace. I kept it pretty default. I didn't keyframe anything, just this amount. I'm pretty sure this is like size is 100 by default. I made it a little bit larger, and that's pretty much it. And then what I would actually make sure, I forgot to say this, is just make sure that you have toggle switches and modes, have the motion blur on, and just turn the motion blur on all of these, because that's going to give it that realistic look. When it slides up, it will be blurry. And then you can see you have that once you have that mask layer. And to get this mask layer, you just take the full clip and then mask out anything that you want to be in front of the duplicated layer, the tall bush. So you can see those 2 layers together is basically the reason I stopped it here, and you don't have to really worry about it, is because the tall bush is not going to come from this area on or from this area on. So that's all I masked, and then I just had it come down here so when it goes all the way down, it doesn't get out of the way. And then finally just the full clip so it fills out all the areas that aren't masked. And that definitely a way more conceptual video. I hope I explained everything well. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, because I think I explained everything as best as I could without wasting a bunch of your time. Basically all you have to do is mask out the area you want to duplicate it a bunch so that it has room to go up higher, pre-comp that to any needs and then just move and then just keyframe the position of it, making sure to have motion blur on. And then I just added some turbulence displace to kind of blend it a little bit better, but it's not necessary because you can see if you turn off the turbulence displace, this is what it looks like. Still looks pretty cool, but you can see a little bit more imperfections, and it kind of just seems a little bit weird in my opinion. The best things you can do this with are like walls, buildings, basically anything that's more of a rectangular shape. It just makes it easier to, you know, kind of mask and duplicate. But you can get pretty complex with it. I guess you could probably do it with trees and just like a bunch of other stuff. Just the more not like fine edges or whatever, where it has like the zigzags and stuff. Like even on these bushes, it was kind of hard to mask. So just keep that in mind. The more rectangular and like precise an object is, the easier it's to do. You could do like street signs, a bunch of different rectangular things. Let me know what you guys come up with. If you made it all the way to the end, I really do appreciate you. Thank you very much. If you're not already subscribed, because 60-something% of the people that watch these videos are not subscribed, I'm trying to hit 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So if you could do that, I would really appreciate you. If you haven't already, like and comment, because we're trying to hit 500 likes and 50 comments on this video. Let me know what you guys think about these style videos, because this is definitely a less hands-on tutorial, but more of a cool in-depth way / breakdown of an effect. If you want to support the channel even more, you can go over to briandelmata.com, check out my texture pack. But yeah guys, that's pretty much it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Peace.